Hello, I'm Jonathan from Boredom Sated,
I'm Boris from Boredom Sated.
and today we are going to continue our creature comparison list with something that we talked about in a previous video, where we talked before about the flesh golem. Now we're going to go on to the more common golem you think of in D&D terms, but less so in pop culture, the Iron Golem.
Yes, the Iron Golem. Well, at least in pop culture in the Western world, you do have Eastern, at least anime type of golems. You have all the different robots, and you do have the Iron Giant. So that
Yeah.
is closer to the Iron Golem.
When we think of an iron golem, we think of an alchemical creation made by some wizard or something like that, that they want to be tougher. They want it to be strong. They want it to be able to withstand power, so they make it out of iron. It's a powerful, mindless
Yes.
construct that comes at you. It's immune to magic, except for a couple of specific sources. And it makes it so that it is a very, very tough fight. Golems are the bane of your wizard characters, again, unless you happen to know their weaknesses. And especially if you have a golem coming in as a surprise, oh boy, are you screwed. Going in
Yep.
knowing what a
And
golem is, you're fine.
Yep, and a golem is one of those creatures that even when a party is higher level than the creature rank, I feel that just adding two or three really equals out the fight.
Fighting golems in general is always a tough thing to do because of their magical resistances. And usually they're also immune to, or resistant to, at the very least, non magical weapons. So you have to have magical weapons, but you can't use standard magic. And that's the reason why golems are so scary. Now, this is one of the major differences, again, between Pathfinder and D&D. D&D has decided with a lot of these creatures that have massive immunities that everyone knows about to change it from being immune to being resistant. In D&D purposes, it's resistant to a lot of things. It is immune to a lot of things that normally, that even like it goes further than most creatures that you think of. It's immune to fire, poison, psychic. It's immune to non-magical damage, and that aren't made out of adamantine. It's immune to many conditions, but that's again to be expected because it's a mindless golem. But that's when we get the difference in Pathfinder.
Right. And in Pathfinder, you see a lot of immunities with pretty much the similar items, but it also gives it a resistance of 15, bleed, death effect, which totally makes sense. It's a construct. It's not a living creature, and it's just
Well, more specifically,
very resistant. Yeah.
as we said in the D&D version, the Iron Golem is immune to several damage types. But the Iron Golem in Pathfinder 2 is immune to magic in general with an asterisk.
Right.
Because it's got a couple of specific spells that do affect it.
Right. So, which really takes out, like you said, most spellcasting classes from really being useful, other than healing the party potentially or trying to protect them.
Well, if they don't know what the immunities, what the weaknesses or vulnerabilities
Right.
are, that's the issue. So in Pathfinder 2, we're going to talk about one of the things a little bit later, but the Golem anti-magic in Pathfinder 2 is weak to acid. They take an enormous amount of damage when they are hit by acid, whether it be magical acid or not. And they're also slowed by electricity magic. So if you hit them with a lightning bolt, it's not going to do any damage, but it will slow them, and that definitely helps. The slow one definitely makes a little bit of a difference. Now, the one thing that both of them did do is still make it so that they are healed by fire. However, the way they're healed by fire is massively different.
Yep. In Pathfinder, they are healed for
2d8.
Sorry, 2d8. Yep. While in D&D, they are healed
For damage dealt.
Yes. So if you hit them with a fireball and do 40 points of damage, they'll heal 40. So
Yeah.
really makes the D&D golem something you definitely don't want to hit with fire.
Yeah, it makes it so that is the one major difference and the major bonus for using the Iron Golem in D&D. The other thing, of course, is that the Iron Golem in D&D has an AC of 20. Creatures that have an AC of 20 or higher are generally very hard to hit, especially if you don't have magical weapons and items. And its plus to hit is also very high. It's got a plus 13 to hit. Again, for anyone who knows D&D 5th edition, standard ACs really range in that high teens number. So a plus 13 to hit means it's going to hit most of the time.
Yep.
Now, for CR purposes, the CR of the Iron Golem in Pathfinder is 13, whereas the CR in the Iron Golem in D&D is 16.
Right. Now, the interesting thing that in Pathfinder they added, they went a little bit further, I thought, or D&D just forgot. They gave them vulnerability to neutralize poison, which neutralizes their poisonous breath, and they gave them vulnerability to rust, which makes you trying to utilize a rust monster against it very interesting.
Yeah, I think that that's more of a Pathfinder did it because remember, one of the bonuses and one of the best and worst things about D&D 5th edition is the fact that they simplify a lot of things. It's great because they're simplifying it, it makes it easier to use, but at the same time they leave out a lot of the nuance of some of the creatures that they've gained over the years.
Right.
Now, back to their similarities. They both hit very hard. They both have high ACs for their level, especially the one in D&D. They both have poison breath weapons.
Right.
The poison breath weapon in D&D makes you poisoned, and you take 10d8 poison damage on a failed save, which is a huge amount. Whereas the poison in Pathfinder 2 drains you, which is huge, but it only does a little bit of damage.
Right. But I think it's in line also with the creature CR. So if you do the comparison, I think it is in line. The higher damage for a level 16 creature is in line for it, and the golem being 13 with the drain, I think the damage is in line.
Yeah, I think that the damage overall is in line for both versions. I think that for their level, both of them are quite good. Yeah. Again, the additional fun things they've done with the Pathfinder one make me like it better. And also, something that we discussed a little bit is if you use the Iron Golem as a minion, because Iron Golems they're never going to be just sitting there. They're going to be created by someone, and someone more powerful. Could be the boss of your campaign. If you put an Iron Golem as a minion for the boss of your campaign, and he just throws a fireball at it every once in a while, he's going to just sit and heal it for 40 or 50 a round just because he does that. Especially if he's got legendary actions sitting around where you can just be like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and heal my golem every once in a while. Stop trying to hit him so hard.
Right.
Oh, wait.
Now, we did talk about this in the past where they do give a scrap aspect to the all the golems in Pathfinder 2. And the one thing I like is that they say that if you scrap an iron golem, fire giants find the iron very useful to create their own type of armor. So this really gives you an interesting role-playing aspect where you can be meeting with a fire giant clan and they have something that could be useful and they're willing to trade it for you if you get that iron golem medal to them.
So that could be a specific part of a mission where you need to talk with fire giants. And that is a really cool and additional way to be able to do it. Although it does get a little bit contrived in some ways in there. But I think that is very cool.
Yes.
Overall, again, both Iron Golems, I think, are good. The Iron Golem in D&D, because of the fire healing it for full, I think that can be abused a little bit. Whereas the Iron Golem in Pathfinder 2, because of the fact that it is immune to all magic except for those I like that better. In Pathfinder, in D&D, all the things we didn't say they're immune to, like frost or electricity, you can still hurt them normally with that. They're not even resistant to it. They do have magic resistance, so they get to advantage on their saving throws, but they still take damage from a lot of magic normally, and that just feels wrong to me when fighting a golem, especially a metal golem.
And I think that comes from the history we have of playing all the multiple versions of D&D. We're just used to the version being much closer to what we expect in the Pathfinder than in the 5th edition.
Exactly. So it's more about the fact that having played for as long as we have, we feel like the monster should be the way that it used to be instead of the easier version that it is in 5th edition. Doesn't make it bad, just makes it a little different. Just puts a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
So that's our opinions on it. Let us know your opinions on it. Let us know if you've fought any Iron Golems before.
Yes, definitely. Let us know if you used melted down Iron Golems to trade something with Fire Giant.
That's very specific.
But I could totally see why that is done, because the iron in the Iron Golem is healed by fire, and the Fire Giant wearing it, that iron would be healed. Yeah. So thank you very much.
I just came up with something really dumb, but I'm not going to mention it.
Well, thank you very much. Please like, please comment, let us know. And this is Boris from Boredom Sated.
Yeah, this is Jonathan from Boredom Sated. Everybody have a great time, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.